Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cantina Corner. Today I'm going to give you my review of the LEGO Ghost and Phantom 2. Let's get to it. Alright everybody, this is LEGO number 75357. It is the Ghost plus Phantom 2 from Star Wars Ahsoka and Star Wars Rebels. It is 1,394 pieces, and it has an MSRP of $159.99. As I'm reviewing this in 2026, the set is no longer listed as available on lego.com, but it is still available on Amazon, but it's probably on its way to retirement. The minifigures that you get in this set, there are 5 of them. I'll show you those first. So the first one we get is First Officer Hawkins. He's very much a background character in the Ahsoka live-action TV show, so nobody that we really recognize. And then we get Lieutenant Beta, B-E-Y-T-A. He's a Mon Calamari like Akbar, and we do see him in the show, but also pretty much a background character, but a cool Mon Cal figure, so that's a good one. Then the one that everybody should love and adore, Hera Syndulla. We haven't gotten a Hera Syndulla figure since the Rebels sets came out over about 10 years ago, and she's really detailed. Her jacket piece looks great, and the printing on her head tails is really nicely done. So she's a really good figure. She also has 2 different faces, so she has an angry face if you want to see her angry face. But that is Hera, and she's great. Then you get her son, Jacen Syndulla. So interestingly, in the cartoon and the live action show, his hair was green, and I don't know why they chose to give him boring brown hair. In the live action show, it is fairly dark green, so it's not exactly that noticeable, but it's supposed to be green as a nod towards his mother's green skin. And he was, of course, the son of Hera and Kanan Jarrus, who passes away in the cartoon, so he isn't seen in the live action show. But we do get Jacen Syndulla in this box. And, of course, we get a chopper. And so if you've seen some of my other videos, I did a review of the LEGO Chopper set that came out not too long after this one, and there's a figure just like this one in that box as well. So we get another chopper. So those are the minifigures. And the model, I'm going to warn you before I show it to you up close, I have made a few modifications from what you get out of the box, so I'll point those out as I go. But nothing major, just a few small things here and there that I wanted to change up. All right, so let's take a look at the model itself. Overall, I think they did a really good job of capturing the look and feel of the Ghost at this scale, while still having to make quite a few compromises along the way to make it work at the number of pieces they had to build this set. But I really like the way it looks. They have captured the shape and look of this model very well. I think it was very smart to use the dark colored canopy pieces because these are supposed to be a whole lot bigger relative to the minifigures, so that disguises the fact that they're so much smaller when they're dark like this. So that was a good call. And they really did a great job with the shapes of the engines in the back. So those look really great relative to the size of the Phantom model on there. They look really good too. So there's a lot of good detail here. You know, the escape pods on the sides are nice. The color, the different color pieces, the accents that they threw in there are just enough to give it that distinctive look of the Ghost without having to do a ton of colored pieces, which there definitely is more color they could have put on this ship, depending on which version they were looking at. There were some variations of it in the shows, but I think they did a great job of getting the colors in the right places to give it those accent points, and it really looks great. Real quick, a few of the things I changed, just so you know what's different from the model you would get out of the box. The biggest thing I changed is this top turret. I changed it so it would rotate. This is actually fixed into a forward position, which is a big bummer out of the box. But it was not hard to modify that, and I had fun kind of doing it. I did get a little lazy, so my little gunner inside there is just a little astromech head, which works just fine for me, but it would not take much at all if you had the right pieces to make this a socket where a figure could fit down in it like it is out of the box. But I just got lazy. I wanted that to rotate more than I cared about a figure. The only other thing I changed on the outside is I tweaked the forward gun a little bit just so that it matched this one after I modified it, because I changed that some while I was at it. And the engines. A lot of people have done this. The model comes with blue transparent pieces for these engines, which is completely screen inaccurate, so I changed those to orange. Yellow would work probably as well, but I think it looks really good with the orange, so that's what I went with. I did change that. Other than that, maybe a tile or two here and there, but I don't think I changed much of anything on the outside. Underneath the Phantom, I did change a couple of pieces here too, so just so you know that these are stickers from an old A-Wing set, and those are not there in the model out of the box. So those are the only changes I made to the outside that are of any note. Otherwise, everything you're seeing here is what you get right out of the box. Again, I really love this ship. I love the show that it comes from, so this was one that I definitely wanted to add to my collection. There was a Phantom 1 with there was a Ghost plus Phantom 1 set released when the original cartoon was on air that I never picked up. I wasn't collecting Lego at that point in time. So I missed out on that one, so I was really excited when they did release this for the Ahsoka TV show in 2024. So yeah, this is the look of the model. I really like the shaping of the engines, the use of the wheel pieces and cylinders, and the greebling building right up into the body of the ship. I think is really nicely done. That's such a distinctive piece of this design for this ship. The engines are placed really well. Those two smaller engines between the two larger ones. So I think they did a great job with that. They did a great job adding detail with some greebling along the edges, getting the shapes all right. They did a really good job. This is not the sturdiest of models. A lot of the pieces have a lot of wiggle and give to them. A lot of them are held in place with just a few studs here and there. So it's somewhat delicate. It's not the most play-friendly model. Especially if you're gonna, if you or your child is gonna pick it up and fly it around, you gotta be real careful because there are a lot of pieces that break off real easy on it. But it looks great on a shelf, and it really does capture the look of the ship. So the main play feature is probably the fact that the Phantom comes off and you get two ships. So you get your little Phantom, and the Phantom itself is a whole nother ship, and so that's nice. There's a spot where you can put Chopper's head, so it looks like he's helping pilot, and the cockpit opens up. It is a reclining cockpit. Lieutenant Hawking here has to lay down in order to fit into this cockpit, so keep that in mind. It is a tight cockpit, but looks like the Phantom 2 did a good job of capturing the feeling of this ship, and it's kind of cute, as is this overall model. It's kind of a chibi version of the Ghost. It's a little bit out of proportion to itself in a lot of ways, but it still looks really good and really cute. The other play features, I wish I could tell you that the turret was one, but again, the fact that it opens, I guess, is a play feature, but it does not rotate out of the box, so they don't have a play feature for that, really. But the main one is the forward gun on the bottom. There's a lever on the very bottom that activates a section here where the forward cannon can be moved left and right. So that's kind of unique and fun, something different. And there are some stud shooters here. I don't have them armed because I usually leave those empty or take them out altogether. But I just left them there for this one. But there's some stud shooters. And then the cockpits do open, even the top ones. So that's the other play feature, as well as an interior that we're going to take a look at. The forward cockpit opens as well. The forward cockpit actually also completely detaches from the model, which is necessary in order to get the figures in and out. I've got Lieutenant Beta in there currently, and so I'm using that though to show you they did do a really nice job of giving us a lot of detail in this cockpit, including the control piece. If I take him out, maybe we can see it better. Yeah, there you go. So I liked that control piece. They used a Inquisitor lightsaber handle, which is appropriate since this came from Rebels, to give us a really cool control panel there for the forward gun section. So that's nice. That's kind of cool, and this is with the one printed piece here too, is that forward cockpit bubble. I do wish they had given us a printed cockpit piece here. These stickers are transparent on top of everything else, and they get these air bubbles under them. So it's really hard to get those air bubbles to not happen or to get those out of there, which adds that discoloration. I really wish that they had just printed this cockpit piece as well. That's probably my biggest complaint with the set, is that they didn't print that piece. The rotating turret on the top and the engines being the wrong color on the back are all things I can forgive a lot more easily because I can modify those and fix them myself, but I can't make a printed cockpit piece, so I do wish that had been printed. All the other stickers, they don't bother me at all. There's a lot of them, but they add detail everywhere, so there's a bunch. but they're all fine. So I just wish that that cockpit had been printed. So the bottom of this ship is well done for a change. It actually has some shape to it. You can see it's got the side panels. It is a lot of, you know, plates, and it's not the prettiest view of the ship, but it doesn't look terrible compared to the bottoms of a lot of ships this scale and size. And part of that shaping is another play feature. They did give us some loading bay doors on the sides. These are not a part of the ship in the show, and there's one on each side. But in the show, let me show you, there's one on the other side. In the show, there's actually supposed to be a section, and I'm going to show you a different model of the Ghost towards the end of this video for comparison. There's supposed to be a section below this gun that comes down, and the main loading bay is right there. They could not fit that in here, and it is another miss in terms of the style and look of the ship. It's only noticeable if you know that it's supposed to be there, and it's only noticeable if you're looking at it from the bottom angle like this, which you're not usually going to, so it's easy to overlook and forgive. This is kind of the angle you're usually going to view this ship at. Either you're going to have it sitting on a table or maybe put it up on a stand on an angle, and it looks great from those angles with the colors and the shapes. But there is supposed to be a section down there that is kind of missing from the ship. And overall, they had to, everything is compressed size-wise. It should be a lot wider. It should be a lot longer relative to the size of the cockpits. I'm not even talking about how the cockpits are scaled with relative to a minifigure, but just relative to the rest of the ship itself. So I'll show you what I mean with that other model. But in terms of a Lego model of the Ghost and Phantom, if you, like me, did not pick up the original set that came out when the cartoon was around, this is a great alternative. It looks fantastic on the shelf next to a Millennium Falcon or something like that. So I really love that I have it in my collection. I'm glad that they did release it, even with its flaws. It's one of my favorite models, so I really do love it. So let me pull over that other model, and we'll take a look, and then we'll wrap up by taking a look in the inside. All right, so here's a look at the model next to a Micro Squadron Galaxy version of the Ghost plus Phantom 2. And these are really detailed models of ships out of the Star Wars line. I'm surprised that they don't seem to have been more mainstream than they are. You can find them at Walmart sometimes. You can find them online. I found this on a Black Friday sale for $15 at Walmart, and I could not pass it up. It's usually a whole lot more expensive than that, but it does give you a great frame of comparison for this Lego Ghost. Because they're so close in size, and you can see how much bigger everything else is relative to the ship itself. So to Lego's credit, when you look at these models side by side, the cockpits are actually pretty well done in terms of the size of the cockpit pieces relative to the body of the ship. The body of the ship itself is much stubbier. It's not as wide as it should be when you compare it to the other model. So you can see how much more surface area there should be on the sides. That's just not really present on this model, which is much more compressed. It's most noticeable with the distance between the gun and the Phantom. There's almost no distance here. My rotating turret can't even turn all the way around. Whereas on the real ship, or at least this model, which is very close to the real ship, there's a whole lot more room. This has no trouble turning all the way around if it wants to. I don't think it rotates all the way. Oh, yeah, it does, almost at least. It's supposed to rotate all the way, but I don't want to break it. So there's a lot more space here that's not present on the Lego model. So they had to make some compromises to get this model out at around 1,300 pieces. It's a really large ship. It's bigger than even the Falcon in universe. So unless you wanted this to be, you know, a 2,000 piece set or a UCS set, this is really the best that they could have done to give us something that represents the ship, I think. So again, I really love it despite its flaws. Let's take a look at the inside. Okay, so the inside is nothing too exciting, but there is an interior. To get to it, you just lift this top section off. There are some studs right back here that this clips down onto with these corner pieces, and you take that and you set it aside, and then you have access to the interior. So the interior, I have modified this a little bit too. It's really bare bones out of the box, and I didn't do much. All I did was I added a table and a workbench, and I added a few shapes around that in the back. That's just open space really in the model out of the box. But you do have room to set some figures in there. I've got Jason hanging out in there. Sometimes I'll put Chopper in there if I don't want him on the Phantom. So that is the interior. You can kind of see Hera's space from behind looking at it. in there as well. And there's a little bit of room. You could do a little bit more with that if you wanted to. Maybe you want to put a Sabine figure in this model and give her a little weapon station or something. You could do that. I kind of just threw a couple of her thermal detonators on the table that she kind of left behind and forgot about when she moved on and left those behind in the ship. So that was my nod to Sabine here, since this is from Ahsoka, and we don't really see Sabine on this ship anymore at that point in the timeline, at least in the show. So maybe I shall get back with Hera in season 2. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. That was my review of the Lego Ghost plus Phantom 2. If you enjoyed that, please like and subscribe below, and until the next time, may the Force be with you.